First Contact and Initial Defeat. The sky above Shanghai blazed with an otherworldly light as the first Meridian warships breached Earth's atmosphere. Commander Maya Rodriguez stood at the operations center of the Pan-Asian Defense Command, her hands gripping the tactical display until her knuckles turned white. The alien vessels moved with impossible grace, their crystalline structures refracting sunlight into prismatic patterns across the city's skyline. "Multiple contacts, sir," Lieutenant Zhao reported, his voice steady despite the tension. "Counting 15 capital ships and, at least 40 support craft. They're not responding to any of our frequencies." Maya had trained for first contact scenarios her entire career, but nothing could have prepared her for this moment. The Meridian ships weren't just advanced, they seemed to defy the laws of physics themselves. Their hulls appeared to be made of living crystal, constantly shifting and adapting to atmospheric conditions. "Launch interceptors," she ordered, knowing full well it might be futile. "And get me a direct line to General Harrison at Northcom." The next 30 minutes proved to be the longest of Maya's life. Earth's most advanced fighter jets engaged the alien craft, only to find their weapons deflected by crystalline shields that seemed to anticipate each attack. The Meridians responded with precise, devastating strikes that reduced military installations to ash without causing civilian casualties, a demonstration of both their power and their surgical precision. As reports flooded in from around the globe, a pattern emerged. The aliens were systematically neutralizing Earth's military capabilities while leaving civilian infrastructure intact. This wasn't an extermination, it was a conquest. In the midst of the chaos, Dr. Aidan Foster, head of the Acoustic Physics Department at MIT, noticed something peculiar in the sensor data. Every time Earth's forces managed to land a hit on the alien shields, there was a microsecond fluctuation in their crystalline structure. It wasn't much, but it was a pattern. "Commander Rodriguez," he called through the emergency channel. "I'm seeing something in the harmonics of their shield frequency. There's a resonance pattern we might be able to exploit." Maya pivoted to face the holographic display of Dr. Foster's data. "Explain it to me in simple terms, Doctor." "Their entire technology seems to be based on crystalline structures, like a massive lattice of interconnected gems. And just like any crystal, they have a natural frequency. If we can match it, we could shatter them," Maya finished, her mind racing with possibilities. Like an opera singer breaking a wine glass. The revelation came at a cost. By the time Maya could relay the information to what remained of Earth's unified command, the Meridians had disabled 70% of humanity's military capabilities. But they had also revealed something crucial: they weren't invincible. In the smoking ruins of the Shanghai Command Center, Maya gathered what remained of her staff. The Meridians had inexplicably halted their advance, perhaps confident in their demonstration of superiority. It gave humanity a chance, small, but real. "Listen up," she addressed the room, her voice carrying the weight of humanity's future. "We've lost this battle, but we've found something more valuable than a victory. We've found their weakness. Now we need to figure out how to exploit it." As she spoke, screens around the room displayed incoming data from surviving research facilities worldwide. The Meridian's crystalline technology was unlike anything humanity had encountered, but it followed universal laws of physics. Every crystal, no matter how advanced, had a resonant frequency. "Get me every acoustics expert, every sound engineer, every musician you can find," Maya ordered. "We're going to teach these aliens about the power of human harmony." In orbit, the Meridian fleet hung like a sword of Damocles over Earth, their crystalline ships casting prismatic shadows across continents. They had expected a swift surrender after their show of force. Instead, they had given humanity something far more dangerous: hope, and a chance to prove that sometimes the most powerful weapons aren't the ones that cause the biggest explosions. The sound of hope. The underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains hummed with activity. 3 months had passed since first contact, and humanity had made every second count. Dr. Aidan Foster stood in the central testing chamber, surrounded by an array of speakers that would have made any concert venue jealous. But these weren't meant for music, at least not in the traditional sense. Adjusting frequency to 372.8 kHz, his assistant, Dr. Yuki Tanaka, called out from behind the protective barrier. Crystal sample is stable and monitoring systems are active. Before them, suspended in a magnetic field, floated a shard of meridian crystal recovered from a downed scout ship. It gleamed under the harsh laboratory lights, its internal structure a maze of geometric perfection that had revolutionized their understanding of crystalline engineering. "Begin test sequence Alpha," Aidan commanded, his eyes fixed on the monitoring screens. The speakers came to life, emitting a sound beyond human hearing but visible in the way it distorted the air around the crystal. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like ice cracking on a frozen lake, lines appeared across the crystal's surface. The fractures spread in a beautiful, terrifying pattern before the entire sample exploded into dust. Yuki's voice crackled over the intercom, excitement breaking through her professional demeanor. "Complete structural failure in 3.7 seconds. That's our best result yet." Aidan allowed himself a small smile. "Send the data to Commander Rodriguez. She'll want to see this." 12 levels above them, Maya Rodriguez stood in what had become known as the war room of Project Echo. Holographic displays showed the positions of Meridian ships across the globe. The aliens had maintained their holding pattern, establishing bases on Earth's moon and several orbital stations, but hadn't pressed their advantage. Their patience made Maya nervous. "Latest test results from Foster's team," her aide announced, transferring the data to the main screen. Maya studied the numbers, hope kindling in her chest. "How soon can we weaponize this?" she asked. Dr. Foster estimates 2 weeks for the first prototype. "The challenge isn't generating the frequency, it's focusing it into a coherent beam that won't dissipate in atmosphere." Maya nodded, her mind already racing through tactical applications. "And the training program?" "Better than expected. The sonic sensitivity training is brutal, but the volunteers are adapting. Captain Singh's team has already mastered the basic harmonics." In the training facility adjacent to the main complex, Captain Amrita Singh led her squad through their daily exercises. Each soldier wore a specialized suit designed to protect them from the sonic weapons they were learning to wield. The suits themselves were a triumph of human engineering, developed by a collaborative effort between acoustic engineers and medical experts. "Remember," Amrita called out to her team, "these aren't conventional weapons. You're not just pulling a trigger, you're conducting an orchestra of destruction. Feel the resonance, understand the harmonics." The Meridians built their technology on perfect crystalline structures. "We're going to show them the power of controlled chaos." The training room contained various crystalline targets, each requiring a different frequency to shatter. The soldiers moved through the course with growing confidence, their sonic rifles emitting precise frequencies that reduced their targets to dust. But not everything was proceeding smoothly. In her private office, Maya reviewed reports from around the world. Several countries were growing restless, wanting to launch conventional attacks against the Meridian positions. They didn't understand that a premature strike would only alert the aliens to humanity's growing capabilities. "Commander," her communication officer interrupted, "we're detecting increased activity from the Meridian base on Luna. They're launching something." Maya rushed to the observation deck, joining a crowd of officers watching the sky. Through powerful telescopes, they could see multiple objects descending through Earth's atmosphere. Not weapons, probes. "They're scanning for something," she realized. "They know we're up to something." The race was on. Humanity needed to perfect their sonic weapons before the Meridians discovered their vulnerability. Maya opened a secure channel to all Project Echo facilities worldwide. "This is Commander Rodriguez. As of now, we're on accelerated timeline. The enemy is getting suspicious, and we won't get a second chance at surprising them. I know we're asking the impossible, but that's what humans do best. We have 1 week to prepare for Operation Resonance. Make it count. Throughout the facility, teams redoubled their efforts. Dr. Foster's lab ran continuous tests, pushing the boundaries of their understanding of sonic warfare. Captain Singh's soldiers trained until they could hit their targets blindfolded, understanding that in the coming battle, they might need to rely on sound alone. In her quarters that night, Maya studied the latest intelligence reports. The Meridian's crystalline technology was beautiful, nearly perfect in its execution. That was their weakness. They had engineered away chaos, created systems of pure order. But nature itself thrived on chaos, on imperfection, on the ability to adapt and change. We don't need to be perfect, she whispered to herself, a plan forming in her mind. We just need to be unpredictable. As if in response, a distant rumble shook the facility, another successful test in Foster's lab. The sound of hope, growing stronger every day. Soon, it would become a symphony that would shake the very foundations of the Meridian's perfect crystalline world. The next morning would bring new challenges, new failures, and new breakthroughs. But for now, Maya allowed herself to feel something she hadn't experienced since the day the aliens arrived: confidence. Humanity wasn't just developing weapons, they were turning the aliens' greatest strength into their greatest vulnerability. The sound of victory was growing closer, one frequency at a time. Symphony of War. Dawn broke over the Pacific Ocean, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold. Beneath the waves, humanity's secret fleet waited. 50 submarines, modified with experimental sonic arrays, maintained perfect silence. Above them, the crystalline shapes of Meridian warships patrolled with mechanical precision, unaware that they were surrounded. Commander Maya Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the USS Harmony, the first vessel specifically designed for sonic warfare. Her hands traced the edge of the tactical display, where dozens of blue dots represented Earth submarines. Each vessel carried a piece of the symphony they were about to unleash. All units report ready, Lieutenant Zhao announced, his voice barely above a whisper despite their sound-dampened bridge. Dr. Foster's calculations are locked in. Captain Singh's ground teams are in position. Maya took a deep breath. Everything hinged on perfect timing and coordination. The Meridian's crystalline ships were strongest when they worked in harmony, a perfect lattice of resonating frequencies. But that same harmony could be their undoing. Begin Operation Resonance, she ordered. Signal the first movement. Deep beneath the waves, the submarines activated their sonic arrays. Each vessel produced a specific frequency, carefully calculated to build upon the others. Alone, they were harmless. Together, they created a rising tide of sound that traveled through water far more efficiently than it ever could through air. The effect wasn't immediate. For 30 seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then the first Meridian patrol ship shuddered, its crystalline surface displaying rainbow-like distortions. The aliens responded quickly, their ships moving to defensive formations, but they were looking in the wrong direction, up instead of down. Second movement, Maya commanded. Ground teams, you're up. Around the Pacific Rim, hidden sonic emitters powered up. Captain Amrita Singh stood in a bunker beneath Mount Fuji, conducting her team like an orchestra. Synchronize frequencies, she ordered. Let's show them what Earth's ring of fire can really do. The combined assault from below and around created a three-dimensional web of sonic energy. Meridian ships began to crack, their perfect crystalline structures unable to adapt to the chaotic harmonies humanity had created. Some tried to escape to higher altitudes, but they couldn't break free from the sonic net fast enough. But the Meridians weren't defeated easily. Their flagship, a massive crystalline structure that dwarfed aircraft carriers, began to pulse with energy. It was attempting to match and cancel out Earth's sonic attack. They're adapting. Dr. Foster's voice crackled over the comm. He was monitoring the battle from his lab. Their flagship is generating a counter-frequency. Maya had anticipated this. Initiate final movement. Release the chaos strings. This was humanity's trump card. While most of their sonic weapons operated on precise, calculated frequencies, they had also developed what Dr. Foster called chaos strings, unpredictable, ever-changing sonic patterns based on mathematical concepts like strange attractors and fractal patterns. The Meridian's perfect crystalline technology couldn't adapt to what it couldn't predict. The effect was devastating. Meridian ships began to shatter, their remains raining down into the ocean like diamond snow. But as victory seemed within reach, something unexpected happened. The flagship's crystal structure began to pulse with multicolored light, and a new signal cut through all communication channels. "We yield," a voice unlike anything human ears had heard before echoed through the command center. "We understand now." Maya exchanged shocked glances with her officers. This was the first direct communication from the Meridians since their arrival. "Explain," she demanded. "We sought perfection," the alien voice continued. "Our crystalline technology represented the pinnacle of ordered existence. We believed humanity's chaos, your imperfection, was a threat to the galaxy's evolution toward perfect harmony. We were wrong." The remaining Meridian ships had stopped fighting, their surfaces rippling with what looked like uncertainty. "Your ability to wield chaos itself, to find strength in imperfection, it is not a flaw, as we believed. It is an advancement we had not considered possible." Dr. Foster's voice came over the comm again, excitement clear in his tone. "Commander, I'm analyzing their signal. The crystalline structure of their ships, it's changing. They're adapting, but not in the way we expected. They're incorporating chaos into their own design." Maya watched in amazement as the Meridian flagship's perfect geometric patterns began to shift into something more organic, more natural. Like ice formations in spring, rigid structures flowed into graceful, unpredictable shapes. "We propose an exchange," the Meridian voice offered. "We will withdraw our forces, end our attempt at conquest. In return, we wish to learn from you. Not your technology, but your understanding of chaos, of imperfection, of change." Maya looked around her command center, at the humans who had achieved the impossible by turning sound itself into a weapon. But they had done more than that, they had shown an advanced civilization a new way of seeing the universe. "First, you will help us rebuild what you destroyed," she responded firmly. "Then we can discuss an exchange of knowledge." As the sun set over the Pacific, Earth's forces maintained their positions, but the sonic weapons remained silent. On the surface of the ocean, Meridian ships no longer hung like perfect crystals but swayed and shifted like sea creatures, their structures adapting and changing with each passing moment. Humanity had won not just through force, but by demonstrating that imperfection and adaptation were not weaknesses to be engineered away, but strengths to be embraced. The symphony of war had become a harmony of understanding, setting the stage for a future none had imagined possible. Harmonic convergence. 3 months after the Battle of the Pacific, the landscape of human-Meridian relations had transformed as dramatically as the aliens' crystalline ships. The former Meridian flagship, now renamed Concordance, hovered above the newly established Joint Adaptation Center in Singapore, its once rigid structure flowing like a liquid crystal sculpture in the tropical sunlight. Commander Maya Rodriguez walked through the center's main laboratory alongside Resonator, the Meridian representative who had first called for peace. The aliens' crystalline form had evolved significantly, no longer the geometric perfection of their first arrival but something more organic, almost human in its irregularity. "Your species continues to surprise us," Resonator's thoughts translated directly through the neural interface they developed together. "Each imperfection in your methods reveals new possibilities we never considered." Dr. Foster looked up from his workstation, where he was analyzing the latest data from their joint experiments. "That's what makes chaos beautiful," he said, gesturing to the holographic display. It's not the absence of order, it's a deeper kind of order, one that embraces change. But not everyone embraced the new alliance. In a secure conference room above the laboratory, Captain Singh was briefing Maya on growing concerns from various Earth governments. Some military leaders think we're being naive, Amrita reported, her expression grave. They believe the Meridians are simply studying us to find new weaknesses. And there's been another incident at the Moscow facility. Maya grimaced. A group of hardline human supremacists had attempted to sabotage the joint research project, claiming that sharing knowledge with aliens would lead to humanity's downfall. What did they target this time? The harmonic resonance chambers. But here's the interesting part, the Meridian crystals actually adapted to protect the human researchers. They're calling it the first spontaneous act of crystal empathy. This news brought both hope and complication. The Meridian's crystalline technology was evolving faster than anyone had predicted, developing what appeared to be emotional responses. Some found this reassuring, others found it terrifying. In the recovery zone outside Shanghai, where one of the first battles had taken place, the evolution was most visible. Meridian crystal structures had begun integrating with Earth's ecosystem, creating hybrid formations that seemed to pulse in rhythm with the planet's natural frequencies. Dr. Yuki Tanaka led the research team studying these formations. It's like they're learning to dance with Earth's own vibrations, she explained during the evening briefing. The crystals aren't just adapting to survive here, they're actively harmonizing with our world's natural rhythms. Maya stood at the window of the briefing room, watching the sunset reflect off the Concordance's ever-shifting surface. And what about the deeper integration projects? This was the most controversial aspect of their cooperation. Some humans had volunteered to receive crystal implants, while some Meridians had begun experimenting with organic matter integration. The preliminary results were fascinating and frightening in equal measure. The human volunteers are showing remarkable adaptation, Dr. Foster reported. The crystals aren't just tools anymore, they're becoming true symbiotic partners. And the Meridians, well, you should see for yourself. He pulled up footage from the biological integration chamber. A Meridian crystal matrix had completely reorganized itself around a pattern of human DNA, creating something entirely new, a hybrid structure that was neither purely crystal nor purely organic. They're calling it the bridge, Foster continued. A physical manifestation of what our two species could become together. But with each breakthrough came new challenges. Earth's political landscape was fracturing along new lines, those who embraced the potential of human Meridian integration and those who feared it would mean the end of human identity altogether. Maya had her own concerns, but they weren't about losing humanity's identity. If anything, this cooperation had revealed humanity's core strengths more clearly than ever. Their adaptability, creativity, and willingness to embrace change had not only saved them from conquest but had opened up possibilities neither species had imagined. "Show me the latest mapping of crystal consciousness," she requested. The holographic display shifted to show the neural patterns of a crystalline matrix as it interacted with human brainwaves. The patterns were beautiful, complex fractals that seemed to dance between order and chaos. "We've identified something remarkable," Dr. Tanaka explained. "The crystals aren't just mimicking human consciousness, they're creating a new form of awareness that exists in the space between our two modes of thinking. It's like they're teaching us to think in harmony." An alert sounded from the monitoring station. One of the hybrid structures in the recovery zone had begun emitting a new frequency. Instead of the usual crystalline resonance, it was producing something that sounded almost like music. "It's happening more frequently now," Resonator observed. "The crystals are learning to sing." Maya smiled, remembering how they had first used sound as a weapon. Now it was becoming a bridge, a means of creation rather than destruction. But she couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the edge of something even bigger, a transformation that would redefine both species. "What we're creating here isn't just a partnership," she said, watching the hybrid crystals shimmer in the fading light. It's a new way of being. The question is, are both our species ready for what that means? As if in answer, the Concordance's surface rippled with patterns of light, its crystalline structure singing in harmony with Earth's own frequencies. The sound carried hope and warning in equal measure, a reminder that the greatest changes often come not from conquest or submission, but from learning to dance with the chaos of possibility. Evolution's echo. 1 year after the first crystal began to sing, Earth had become a planet that earlier generations would hardly recognize. The Singapore skyline glittered not just with steel and glass, but with living crystal structures that pulsed in harmony with the city's rhythms. In orbit, human space stations and meridian crystalline habitats danced an intricate orbital ballet, their combined technologies pushing the boundaries of what either species had thought possible. Commander Maya Rodriguez, now director of the Earth Meridian Integration Council, stood in the observation dome of the new Tower of Harmony. Below her, crystal gardens flourished alongside traditional Earth plants, creating ecosystems that defied traditional classification. The latest results from the deep space expeditions have arrived, Dr. Foster announced, his own crystal augments shimming slightly with excitement. Like many scientists working closely with Meridian technology, he had accepted selective crystal integration, enhancing his ability to process complex data. "Show me," Maya requested, her own subtle crystal interface humming in response. The holographic display materialized, showing data from the Joint Exploration Fleet. What they had discovered in the far reaches of space was both wondrous and concerning. Other crystalline civilizations existed, but none had achieved the synthesis that Earth and the Meridians had pioneered. Many remained locked in rigid patterns of perfect order, unable or unwilling to embrace the power of controlled chaos. "They're calling it the Great Stagnation," Captain Singh reported, entering the chamber. The former tactical officer had become Earth's primary diplomat to other crystalline species. These civilizations achieved technological perfection, but at the cost of their ability to adapt and grow. The implications were profound. What had started as a defensive innovation, humanity's use of sonic weapons, had revealed a fundamental truth about the nature of progress itself. Perfect order, it seemed, was a dead end. True advancement required a dance between chaos and harmony. In the research labs beneath the tower, Dr. Yuki Tanaka was leading a team studying this principle at the quantum level. The results were revolutionary. "Look at this," she said, pulling up microscopic images of human crystal hybrid structures. "The crystals aren't just changing us, we're changing them. Our inherent biological chaos is teaching them how to evolve." Resonator, who had become something of a revolutionary figure among their own people, vibrated with agreement. "Our species sought perfection for millennia, not realizing that perfection is stasis, and stasis is death. Humanity showed us a better way. But this success brought its own challenges. Other crystalline civilizations had taken notice of Earth. Some sought to learn, sending delegations and establishing diplomatic relations. Others saw the human meridian synthesis as a threat to their ordered existence. "We're detecting unusual activity at the edge of the solar system," Lieutenant Zhao reported during the daily briefing. 3 crystalline fleet signatures, but they're different from anything we've encountered before. Maya studied the data with concern. The approaching ships were artifacts of pure order, geometric perfection taken to its ultimate extreme. They were beautiful, but there was something almost painful about their rigidity. "They're afraid," Resonator observed. "They see in us everything they've tried to engineer away from themselves: change, uncertainty, the beautiful chaos of life itself." The Tower of Harmony hummed as its crystal systems registered the approaching threat. But Maya felt no fear. In the year since the Meridians had first learned to sing, humanity had not been idle. Every crystal on Earth, every hybrid structure, every augmented human was part of a vast symphony of consciousness. "Send them a greeting," Maya ordered, but not in words. Instead, she reached out through the crystal network that now spanned their solar system. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Every crystal structure on Earth and in orbit began to resonate, creating a harmony of unprecedented complexity and beauty. The song carried within it everything that made the human meridian synthesis unique: mathematics and emotion, order and chaos, tradition and innovation. It was an expression not just of technological achievement, but of the fundamental truth they had discovered together, that perfection isn't found in the absence of chaos, but in learning to dance with it. The effect on the approaching fleets was dramatic. Their perfect geometric formations began to waver, then shift, as if awakening from a long sleep. Some ships maintained their rigid structure, retreating in what might have been fear. Others began to change, their crystalline surfaces flowing into new, more organic patterns. "They're responding," Dr. Foster announced, monitoring the quantum fluctuations. "Their crystal matrices are beginning to exhibit chaos patterns similar to our early experiments." Maya watched as the transformation spread through the alien fleets. What had begun as a potential confrontation was becoming something else entirely, a demonstration of the very principle that had brought humans and meridians together. "This is how it begins," Resonator observed. "Not with conquest or submission, but with awakening. Each crystalline civilization that learns to embrace chaos becomes another voice in the universal symphony." As if in response, the crystal gardens below the tower burst into new patterns of growth, their structures incorporating designs that seemed to bridge the gap between organic and geometric perfection. Earth itself was evolving, becoming something unprecedented in the galaxy, a planet where order and chaos danced in perfect balance. Maya looked out at the horizon, where the setting sun painted the crystalline skyline in colors that had no names in any human or meridian language. The future was uncertain, full of challenges they couldn't predict and opportunities they couldn't imagine. And that, she realized, was exactly as it should be. "We didn't just save ourselves," she said softly. "We found a way to save the galaxy from the trap of perfect order. And we did it not with weapons or technology, but with something far more powerful: the courage to embrace change itself." The Tower of Harmony sang in agreement, its crystal matrix pulsing with possibilities that neither humans nor meridians had dreamed of before they learned to dance together in the space between order and chaos, where true evolution lives.